It's
Okay.
all right.
Okay, we're having fun. It's a good group. I'm gonna, since we got off to a little late start, I'm gonna keep going here, and I will introduce everybody. Michelle, you can reach out to them at the end, but let's get started. So adult learning, repetition, repetition, repetition. You guys have heard me talk about this. I prep us while I go through the coaching calls that we've last done. I think most everybody on this call is on the Facebook group. Is there anybody who's not on the Facebook group that's on this call?
I am not.
Tommy, we're going to get you on, okay? If you wouldn't, do you mind?
No, I don't.
Groovy. And then the first session, we talked about the site selection professional mindset. We took a deep dive onto that. And I'm pretty sure most everybody who was on that call is with us here today. In fact, Jay, Lindsay, Amy, Tommy, the only one who's not here with us is Carolyn. So you guys all did that deep dive on the professional mindset. I'm looking to see who hasn't been on it, but it's on the Facebook page. So watch it again, even if you were with us the first time. And then we were making calls to site selection professionals. Amy, I know you've been doing a good job with that, and you've tried to post that on the Facebook page. Did you, I didn't see it when the last I checked. Do you think that you had some better success with that?
I have not yet. And I even asked my IT team, hence my two children, how to get it to load, and I wasn't able to. So I can either give it one more shot, or I can send it over to you to upload. I'm not sure when I was trying to post, the place that said post was grayed out. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, if you email it over to me, I'll go ahead and get it loaded for us.
Okay.
And that might be something, because it's the first time I've had someone post into the Facebook group. So I don't know, maybe I don't have a setting right there. If actually anyone, if you hop over to Facebook and you want to try and post on the group, that would just be helpful. Just, you know, say, hey, I'm on the call doing a test here. That would be great. I've got my Facebookers here. I know, Michelle, you're a good Facebooker. And Jay, you're an excellent Facebooker. So you would do that. We talked about reading the RFP 3 times, because site selection professionals' pet peeve in working with hospitality sales professionals is that we don't get answers to all the questions that we ask, or we don't, we get phone calls and someone will say, hey, I want to know about blankety blankety blank, and it's in the RFP. And we took a lot of time to put that together. So that's those, read the RFP 3 times. 1, looking for everything that you want to be in there. 2, looking for what you want to be in there that isn't in there. And 3, just a triple check to make sure that you are asking smart questions of your site selection professionals. And then we went over proposals that stand out checklist. And that you will find on video 2 from the second week. And in the third week, we talked about if people are, when you submit your proposal, how to determine which, when you submit your proposal, that tells the site selection professional you're interested. Like, you're not qualified, and the piece of business isn't qualified until you make it to that person's shortlist and or site inspection, depending on how the site selection professional has their process. So just because you submitted a proposal doesn't mean that it's a qualified piece of business for your hotel. When you get to the shortlist or are scheduling site inspections, that's when it's qualified. And obviously when you get a contract request, that's when someone is committed. Now we're going to talk about Facebook, because today's session is all about branding and personal branding. So I'm going to start with myself. Story about myself. So I went to this professional development seminar and for business, and I ended up working with this business coach for 7 years. And it was a 2-day weekend seminar. And at the first break, there were these ladies, and at the break, they had their little iPad. I'm going to pretend this is my iPad. And there's women gathered all around them. They're standing in the hallway. It was hard to get around the group because there were people gathered all around them, and they're like doing this on their iPad. And they're doing this, and they're doing this, and people are asking questions. And it was, I mean, the circle was closed in. To get to these women, I would have had to look over, and it wasn't, it was too difficult. So, next break comes, here they are, swiping, swiping, swiping. Lunch comes, here they are, swiping, 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 swiping. End of the day, swiping, swiping. I go home. Next day, I'm like, I'm going to wait till these ladies have a break. Swipe, swipe, crowd of people. Finally, like the last break, there's nobody with them in their iPad. And I look and I said, what is everybody looking at? What do you guys do? These two women are photographers, professional photographers. And they said, headshots, the headshots that people have aren't the headshots that are current any longer. The headshot with the grayed out background and all that stuff, that's not the headshot that you look for. You want a headshot. There's a different headshot that you have for Facebook. There's a different headshot that you have for LinkedIn. There's a different headshot that you have for Twitter. There's all these different headshots. And as they were showing examples of their clients that they had done headshots with, it was like, that makes sense. Now, fast forward, I hire them and I get my headshots when I start Avery Murphy. And they did a huge vetting process with me. And as they vetted me and they learned more about my clients, they said, hey, Michelle, for your headshots, you need to dress in purple and chartreuse. And at the time, I was a fan of black. Like everything in my closet was black. Maybe a little punch of white, maybe a little gray, maybe some tan. It was very neutral. There was no purple. And I was like, okay, purple and chartreuse, those are going to look great on a business card. But how do I dress in those colors and not look like a clown? And then I hired a professional image consultant. I was like, do you have an image consultant? And I thought to myself, and I think I might have even said out loud, what do you think, I'm Oprah? Like, I don't have an image consultant. Like, that's not who I am. And they said, well, you actually want to have an image consultant. And they figured out what my image should look like based on my demographic of clients and yourselves, site selection hotel and destination management sales professionals like yourself. And they said, whenever you go to a networking event, you should be dressed in your brand colors because subliminally, that's how you brand yourself. So as you will notice and you'll look, I have kind of an Avery Murphy uniform. I'm always in purple and or chartreuse. Purple was just an easier color today, or I'm in paisley. As you notice, our logo right here is in paisley. So, or I'm in paisley if I want to mix it up. And I personally have logoed colors in like shorts, in gym clothes. Like, so when I am at something that's business casual, I'm dressed in purple and chartreuse, like not necessarily chartreuse. Maybe I'll do shades of green, but I wanted to first talk about, think about your personal brand. And it might not be a color. It might be, you might have a little something that's yours, and do that for your personal brand. The other thing I want to tell you about Facebook. Everybody on the call is on Facebook, are they not?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're not on the HSM Facebook page, you're all on Facebook, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So, site selection professionals, we have CRM systems, but we don't invest in, I'm not going to spend tens of thousands of dollars investing in a CRM system because my portfolio of clients is actual clients is 20 to 30. The people that I have to fill when I have attrition is less than 100. I do not need a robust CRM system to keep track of that. But when I send out an RFP, as you guys saw when you saw my CVent page, you know, I have, even in this, what's going on, we have over 20 active RFPs in CVent right now. And those RFPs in a small market like Sacramento, those RFPs are going to maybe 13 hotels. In a large market like San Diego, Orange County, LA, those RFPs are going to a minimum of 30 hotels. And each of you on this call, I know, has been to different hotels. Amy, I know that of 2 of your hotels. Tommy, I know you from when I was with Elms Briscoe way back in the day. I think since you and I first met, you've been at a minimum of 3 different hotels. Michelle, you and I met when you were with a different destination management company. You're on your 3rd career. I'm trying to think who else. Jay, we just met, and we don't know what the future holds. But my point is you guys move around, and to keep track of that in a CRM system is difficult. So Avery Murphy, we actually use Facebook as our CRM system to keep in contact with hospitality professionals and destination management professionals. So now I'm going to, now I'm going to escape from this. Let me see. Might have to stop share and escape. Da-da-da. Okay. Sorry. Okay, there we go. I want to share my screen again, but I'm going to share with you Facebook pages. So Christina with Avery Murphy is an excellent example of a Facebook person. So a couple of things. Christina shared with me when she first started, she's like, I'm not doing Facebook. I don't want to know what somebody eats for lunch. Mind you, she posts pictures of food. She's that person, but she does it strategically. She came to Facebook kicking and screaming. And over time, she's evolved and has seen the power of this tool from a personal and professional branding standpoint. And I was her teacher, and now I am her student. So the first thing I want to let you know, to keep your Facebook current and to touch everyone on your list, if anyone here is looking at maybe getting in a different alignment, I'm going to do a little shout out there for you, Michelle. If anyone's looking to get into a different alignment and you want to make sure you get noticed, every time you update your profile picture, you will, you go to everybody's feed. You go to the top of everybody's feed. And then, you know, so she's doing some cute little things, and she tests it. She sees what gets interaction. So you see this one right here, she's kind of being funny. She's getting a lot of interaction on that. Here she's talking a little bit, you know, the Zoom marathon, I guess, you know, I don't know about you guys, but yesterday I was like tethered to Zoom on my phone, and I was just like, my head was spinning. But, you know, this is kind of, you know, she's getting ready for her Zoom marathon. She's posting some other things. Okay. Digital networking, an old photo, and I'm going to have to scroll down here quite a bit. But what Christina does a great job of, and you guys can do a great job of as well, is she posts from when she's done site inspections, and she does shouts outs to the folks that have done her site inspections. And I'm going to scroll. Let's see if I don't come across it too much. I don't want to spend all my time here, but see how active she is. And she does a lot of different visuals. She mixes it up. there's not a, I mean, you can get a flavor of who Christina is, but this isn't Christina's personal page. She's doing this because she is, you know, letting people get to know who she is personally, because we buy from people we know, like, and trust. So she's very strategic when she does something like that. Here's the quarantine. We're still, okay, I'm not finding it real quick, but we will get back there where we're doing site inspections, and it's great to post on them. Even if you're doing something like a virtual site inspection. This is, yeah, we're going a long day. So I'm not going to go there. Another person who's excellent at this is Michael Dominguez. He also posts quite frequently, but he does this from a professional standpoint. And his thing is he does this little thing here, the letter boards. Anybody who follows Mike Dominguez, he's always got these letter boards going. Here's the letter boards. So I just wanted to go over that. Now let me go back to the PowerPoint. And you know what? That's all I'm going to do, because I'm going to wrap this up after Michelle does her presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing. Michelle, let's see if your screen can share. And if it doesn't, I pulled your PowerPoint up so we can go from there. Oh, before I do that, I'm acting like you guys, you know, we're all such close friends after 4 weeks here. And Michelle's like a great friend of mine. Michelle Carlin and I met when she was working at Monterey as a destination. And I was hosting workshops for what hotels don't want you to know about how they quote group rates. And it was a feeder for future clients and everything. And she was kind enough in her previous role to let's not host, but be a sponsor for that particular workshop. And then fast forward, we did a client event in Santa Barbara when Michelle worked at Santa Barbara. And I guess I'm going to use your company name there. We were just in alignment, and Michelle made comments about how wonderful all of our clients are, because at Avery Murphy, we like to attract clients that personally, my demographic for clients are people who are heart-centered and growth-oriented. And Michelle, you know, had a great experience in doing a FAM for our clients in Santa Barbara, and we just have been like this ever since. So I'm thrilled to have her here with all of you. So Michelle, please take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you, greet you online. Today, I'm going to share my screen with you here in a minute, but I'm going to just piggyback off of a little bit of my bio that Michelle has shared with you. So I've been in the hospitality and tourism space for about almost 25 years. And mostly at CVBs, I worked my way up from a sales assistant all the way up to an executive director of sales, and represented 6 different destinations within California, from San Diego to Orange County to Monterey, Santa Barbara, and I've also volunteered with a lot of the industry organizations as well in various capacities. So mostly focused on sales, but also helping these different CVBs develop their organizational structure and process management for marketing, membership, and sales as well. And of course, group sales, which we're talking about today. About a year ago, I came to a crossroad personally, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to take the jump. I've always wanted to have my own business, and in fact, Michelle, I think you asked me, oh, are you gonna be a third party? And I said, no, I'm going to do something completely different. And I realized after a very thorough introspective process that I worked with several coaches on, I was good at mentoring people and also helping these organizations advance their vision and their mission. So it took me about 6 to 9 months to really come up with my business concept, but I formed Alignment Advising. And so we're a business consulting and professional development coaching practice. And what that means is I'm working with organizations as well as individuals to find their alignment. And why alignment? Because when you're in alignment, you're reaching your best potential, or as I call it, your best success is realized. And I'll give you an example of that. So when you take your car in for an oil change or a checkup, you get your wheels aligned, right? Why do you do that? Because if they're not in alignment, which is a perfect relationship next to each other, they're not optimally performing. So your car is not optimally performing. And so this is the concept that I've built my practice on. So with that said, I am going to dive into some tips for you from a personal branding perspective, as well as a professional branding perspective. And what I mean by that is whichever hotel or venue you're representing at this point in time, or even in the future, those have to align together. And that's what Michelle's been talking to you about, is showcasing both yourself personally and professionally. And when those merge and they line up, that's your alignment. So I'm hopeful that this will be great tips for you to take through so that you can move forward. And so I've titled the presentation, The Path Forward. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope this works, Michelle. See if it does. And how's that?
All right, we can see.
Okay. All right. Let's see, slideshow from the beginning. Okay. So as I shared with you, my tagline is your best success realized. So the path forward. Again, we're going to have 3 keys, and we're going to have 9 subsequent steps that go along with these 3 keys. So the first key is to find your alignment. And you're wondering, okay, how do I do that? Like, what is she even talking about? Again, it's finding a place where you're grounded and you're comfortable. And so how you view your current situation depends on what your mindset is. If you're feeling a little bit stuck, which you may be feeling, or a little bit down due to the pandemic and just the events surrounding it, you can quickly shift your perspective. And there's ways to do that. One of the tips I'm going to give you on how you can do that is to start a gratefulness practice. So oftentimes we get in a negative mindset when we're focused on the things that we feel like are not working. And the way to move away from that is to simply sit down and write a list of things. And it could be really basic things. I mean, I'm grateful for the beautiful view out my bedroom window. It can be, I really enjoyed my breakfast this morning. And that may sound really simplistic, but the more that you can add to that gratefulness list, the more you're going to start seeing more things that you're grateful for, and that's going to shift your energy. And I guarantee you will feel better and you will feel grounded. The second step within the first key is to challenge yourself to try something new. So typically we engage in things that we like to do, which I expect that you do that. I hope that you do that. But when you decide something new, you actually sharpen your skill set and you sharpen your abilities, which then also contributes to being grounded. So it could be a simple thing like, you know what, I'm going to read a book. Haven't read a book in 6 months. I'm going to read a book. That's relatively new. It could be that you're going to try a different workout class with a different instructor. It could be that you're going to, you know, learn a new cooking recipe online. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be something that you're not normally doing. And that helps to open up our viewpoints and our perspectives as well. The third step is to carve out time for personal care. And I know this is kind of a buzzword with people. It's like self-care, self-practice. And, you know, people sometimes are like, I don't know what that means. I don't have time for that. Well, I'm asking that you make time. And the reason for that is, again, Then you find where you're grounded, and when you're grounded, you can move forward. You have better ability to move forward. So it's simple things like you're going to write in a journal for 10 minutes. You're going to walk around the block for 15 minutes. You're going to take 5 minutes and you're going to do some breathing exercises or, you know, some little stretches at your desk. And these are little things that you can incorporate into your routine, and you're going to feel a lot better. Okay, so let's tie it into business and kind of where we're at with the business environment, right? Because it's really fluid at the moment. So the second key is to uncover those new opportunities. Well, it may be a little bit challenging right now, right? Because we're dealing with an entire different way that things are moving in the lungs of transacting business, especially when you're talking about dealing with site professionals and meeting planners. And so it's all about planting seeds and nurturing them and watering those seeds, so to speak. It can be difficult when you feel uncomfortable reaching out to a site selection professional or meeting planner and saying, hey, you know, you planned your annual conference. I'm wondering, no, we don't want to be doing that at this moment. What we want to be doing is having a touch point with them. So it could be sending them a, you know, it's a birthday card in the mail, you know, their birthday's coming up, sending them a card. It can be a thank you note for the fact that they rescheduled their meeting to a future date instead of canceling. It could be sending them flowers. It could be, I came up with this recently, this idea of maybe you're a hotel and you're really focused on your cuisine or your wine program. Maybe it's buying a bottle of wine from your hotel, sending it to the client and saying, hey, would love to share this bottle with you over a virtual cocktail hour. You know, something unique, something that is still connecting with them, because we cannot necessarily do business in person at this moment. So it's just having those touch points so that when the business environment loosens up a little bit more and things become a little bit more normalized, you know, people are going to remember that. They're going to be like, you know what, Michelle sent me that note. I'm going to reach out to her and see if her hotel can handle this group. Okay, so the second step with uncovering new opportunities is to do what you're doing right now, which is to educate yourself further in your career path. And you know, it could be taking this course, it could be looking at Cornell University. I know they have some online classes. Doesn't necessarily have to be focused in your career path, but it could be something that's challenging. So maybe you're a sales leader at your hotel, and there are some leadership courses that you can take with Cornell. And I know a lot of other colleges and universities are offering the same thing. So I would encourage you to continue those activities, as well as reading different articles and books. And just being very aware and very knowledgeable about different things. The third step to finding new business is to be a resource to others. So this is another way to build your pipeline. It could be a simple outreach to a client to say, hey, I know you started working from home. Obviously, I'm working from home too, and I know we've talked about some of the challenges. You have your kids at home, but I found this article to be helpful to me, passing this along to you. So different tips, different articles. It could be an article from an industry publication, or you know, it can be something very basic. Our third key is to check in with yourself. And what this means.
I think we need to advance the PowerPoint.
Oh, you're right. Here I am looking at my notes. I'm so focused. Okay, sorry about that. Let me just recap that last part since you guys didn't see that. The second key, thanks, Michelle. It's too funny.
You're welcome.
You gotta laugh at yourself. That's another part of being in alignment. You just gotta laugh when you can. Okay, so to recap that, it's the uncovering the new business opportunities, and it's nurturing the relationships that you have. So planting the seeds, watering them. And it is educating yourself like you're doing with this course, and then being a resource. So passing along information that you might think is helpful to meeting planners. All right, got that third and final slide. It's to check in with yourself. That's the third key. And I suggest you do this regularly. It could be, you know, a time that you schedule on your calendar that you just kind of, you know, sit down and you check in and say, how am I feeling about this? How am I feeling about this situation or that situation? But in particular, because we're talking about site selection and hotel sales, it's, are you still passionate about the hospitality and tourism industry? I'm assuming all of you are, which is fantastic, but sometimes we get different feelings that we tend to push away because we're busy, and so we don't necessarily tune into them. So tuning into, yeah, am I really excited about this? You may be more excited about it during this pandemic. You may be like, I can't wait to get back to meeting people and bringing them together. So check in with yourself on that. The second one would be to get polished. And what I mean by that is to have your resume ready to go in case there is an opportunity for you to move to a different position for whatever reason it is. You always want to be ready. Make sure you have your resume up to date with your current experience. And it's also a good exercise, you know, just to check in with yourself and see, hey, maybe I'm missing a skill set here on my resume that I need to put on there. But it's also researching, you know, latest trends in job searching, as well as interview tips, things like that. The last step within the 3 points is to better understand yourself. And this can be something that you may have done in the past. You may have been involved with your company. They've done a behavioral assessment. I don't know if you've heard of Myers-Briggs or the DISC profile, but those basically analyze how you respond in different situations. Do you like to work alone? Do you like to work with people? How do you handle confrontation? Things like that. So I recommend that if you're able to take the time to better understand yourself, that you do so. And one of the reasons is, again, tying back to the point of checking in with yourself, if you are feeling like, you know, I'm not that interested anymore in hospitality. I've always been interested in real estate. Now might be the time to look at that. And so one of the things that I offer as a consultant and coach is to walk you through these different processes of resume writing, as well as I offer the DISC profile assessment and my own assessment that I've come up with that I call the alignment assessment, which helps you uncover the perfect type of job for you based on past experience. So that is my presentation. I'd like to open it up for any questions. Anybody?
Any questions? I'm curious, Michelle, have you been getting more people in your conversations? Because I know you have a circle of friends in the hospitality industry as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if in your circle of friends that there are people that have been furloughed and laid off. Are you finding that people are taking advantage of this as a time where they could get in better in alignment, and that hospitality may not be what they're passionate about? Or are you finding more people are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get back? Like, where are you finding the colleagues that you have on that spectrum?
It's actually the full spectrum, Michelle. So that's a really good question. I've worked with a few hotel sales professionals currently. One who's furloughed, actually a few who were furloughed that are anxious to get back to their position, but are unclear as to, will their job responsibilities be changing a lot or a little? So having a little bit of anxiety surrounding that. I've worked with some folks who are like, nope, I'm going to sharpen my resume for that next promotion to a different company. So I worked with them on rewriting a resume for that. And I have found one person who's kind of thinking about jumping ship and going into another interest that they have. So it's really the whole gamut. What I do want to say is I am offering right now, particular to the hospitality industry folks, is a 1-hour free consultation. And that is really just to better understand kind of what you're going through, maybe what you feel some of your stumbling blocks are, or what you're anxious about, and just walking you through that process and helping you get to your best success realized.
That's a wonderful offer. Thank you, Michelle. I will
Absolutely.
share. One of the things I did is a girlfriend of mine just went into finance. She's doing, actually she's selling life insurance, and there's like so many different life insurance policies. And, you know, as one sales professional to another one, especially someone who's just getting started, you know, of course I want to support my friend, and I trust my friend, and I'd love to give her business. But, you know, right now isn't the time where I'm looking at making those types of investments, because I don't know what the future holds and when cash flow will start to return to my business in Avery Murphy. And so I hesitated to have her go through her spiel because I didn't think that I could. But when she actually went through her spiel, I realized that while I am very good at my finances and everything, I was like this close to them that I couldn't see anything. And when she spoke, I was like, oh, and I walked away with 3 steps. One of them I've already done. The second one I've started. And the third one is I'm going to look to see if it's on my list today. But actually, I did that one as well before I left with her. So 2 of them I did like immediately. So if, you know, I highly encourage all of you to take advantage of Michelle's offer to spend an hour with her, because if things are like this, she can help you. She can help pull that out for you and feel that a little bit. This isn't in.
Can I jump in really quick, Michelle Murphy?
Yes.
So I just want to plug Michelle Carlin quite a bit, because she was really so incredibly fantastic and helpful to me. Gosh, it was probably about, well, Michelle and I know each other from when I was at a hotel in Santa Barbara and Michelle was at the Santa Barbara, you know, Visit Santa Barbara. So we became, you know, friends then. And then I was unemployed for several months, and Michelle and I had stayed in touch during that time. And as she was getting alignment advising off the ground, she and I worked together. And she helped me completely revamp, like from top to bottom, my resume. And it was a task that I knew needed to be done, but I was kind of like you were saying, Michelle, I was so like, write this, you know, and I had looked at my resume a million times and I just wasn't seeing through all of it. And so Michelle sat down with me over 3 sessions and so eloquently and easily and helpfully, but the words helped me completely rewrite my resume. And just gave me the confidence that I sort of needed to continue with the interview process and sending out that resume, and knowing that it was really an incredible reflection of you know, what I had done. So if you can take Michelle up on it, I definitely would. And then I kind of had a question, or maybe even just like a topic. So I am in a temporary layoff, you know, position right now. So I don't have some of the tools that I did when I was, you know, sitting at my desk at the hotel. And so I've been trying to do some, you know, staying in touch with clients through LinkedIn. But kind of beyond that, you know, are people doing things that I just maybe haven't thought of? And like that, just in terms of staying in touch with people when, I guess it's more of, you know, are you sending things from your personal email address and that sort of thing?
Is that question for me or Michelle?
Well, both of you, either of you, you know, the whole crew, whichever.
Michelle, do you want me to?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
Okay. I would say, Amy, I mean, it's hard because, yeah, some people are furloughed. They don't have access to their emails. And so you may not have their personal emails. That's why, social media is good. And I think it's just reaching out to do a check-in to say, hey, how are you doing? Was thinking of you. I know some of the, and Michelle may have more information on this. I just saw that one of the third parties is offering kind of interim positions to people who are furloughed to stay in touch with clients. So that may be an option for you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, Michelle.
Thank you. So the other thing, when I was on the hotel side, to answer your question, I'm going dusting out some cobwebs here, but when I was going on the hotel side, one of the things that I worked at a hotel that there was a woman who was working the association market, and she had been at the hotel and working that market for years, and nobody else would give that market. When she walked through, when she went to DC and they used to do springtime in the park, like everybody knew her name. When I first started working the Sacramento market, when I was on the hotel side and I went up there, the person that I followed for 3 years, every time I said I was with the Marriott Suites, they asked me about this previous person that had worked there that had been at the hotel for 10 years. And what I wanted to have, and I wasn't able to do it on the hotel side, I was able to do it in this position, is I wanted to have a portfolio of clients that I was hireable for because I had the portfolio of clients. So my intuition to your question, Amy, is reach out to them from your personal email address. That's, if you're doing that and you're furloughed or laid off and you're reaching out to them, that's your contact. That's your money. That's your, I'm thinking of Jerry Maguire. That's your Quan. It's not the corporation that you've been through. And and I'm an extremely loyal person and I value loyalty, but that's not a question of loyalty. That's a question of who's putting in really the time and the heart and the soul of what you're doing. So my intuition and coaching on that would be, it's okay to contact them from your personal email address. And in fact, that would be my recommendation to do so.
Huh.
Any other questions? I do want to share, because I attended Smart Meetings did their first virtual hosted buyer event, and I attended it yesterday. And Steve Steinhardt, who I respect and does hospitality sales training, that's what he does for a profession. I just do this very targeted part of hospitality sales training. He did share some information that I just think it's worth passing on. Before I do that, I did want to add one other thing. There was a Tchotchke person that spoke that was sponsoring it yesterday, and they are sending out and having people buy movie night kits. And if anyone is doing something, I think Lindsay, you're still working, so that might be something that you guys can send out as a movie night kit. It's real good. If even if you wanted to do it to your friend, I was like thinking, how easy would it be to get like little things of popcorn? Like you could make that pretty easily and just send it in one of those, USPS ship for $2.99 or $2.69 would be pretty easy something to do. So I just throw that out there. But here's what Steve Steinhardt said. This is not empirical data. That was the word that he used. But he speaks to a lot of hospitality sales professionals, a lot of people that are VPs and even owners of various hotel groups. And he also speaks to a lot of destination management companies. So this information comes from those conversations. April and May, everything's off the books. June meetings are still on the books with a wait and see attitude. The most of it is on the books with a wait and see attitude. 80% of the July meetings are still on the books also with a wait and see attitude. August, September, October, there's some confidence that these meetings will actually occur. There are new definite meetings being booked for July in the corporate segment. Those meetings are 30 people or fewer. I won't go into destination management companies have been calling like the larger programs, citywide programs coming into the destinations. And they've gotten through talking to everybody who's on the books for 2020. And they've started to talk to people on the books for Q1 to see how that's happening. And they're just about to start having conversations with folks on the books for Q2. And I do want to share that I was talking to a site selection professional that check out the Facebook page because his interview will be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I've got the actual interview scheduled with him tomorrow. He is having some clients cancel their 2021 programs. And the reason is not all business is on a calendar year. Some business is on a fiscal year, and the fiscal year for a lot of folks begins April 1st. And if you're on a fiscal year with April 1st as your start date, you can't even predict your first quarter. So it's too difficult to say what your 2020/2021 year is going to look like. And in those cases, they're canceling their 2021 meetings. And this also has to do with like sales incentive trips. Like, how can you hold that sales incentive trip at the end of 2021, like in, May of 2021 when April is done, because they can't even give their sales professionals quotas because business has changed so much. So I just wanted to share that information with you, as I know a lot of you on this call are either laid off or furloughed, and see what's happening in the industry as to when things might come back on place. In talking to hotels, when I was on this call, West Hollywood, 12 out of the 20 hotels suspended operations. They plan to come back after Memorial Day. Palm Springs, all of the hotels, all of the resorts, except for a couple of limited service hotels, are offline. They're also coming back on, intending to come back on in May or June, which is interesting to me because that's off season in Palm Springs. Also, Palm Springs has always had a challenge with getting lift and getting people into the destination. And I asked the question of like, how are you guys even going to get people there? Because if there's, airlines don't have 70, they're only operating at 30%. The 30% that's operating, I can't imagine a lot of people are going into a destination like Palm Springs. So, those off, a market like that is, I think, kind of hit with actually a triple whammy now that I think about it. And then I share this with you for when you guys do go back. There is a hotel company, Drury Hotels. They have 125 hotels. They are privately owned in 25 states. Now, most of their hotels are limited service, but they are booking group business. And June through March 31st of 2020, they are not putting any performance clauses or cancellation clauses in their contracts through March 31st of 2021. And the reason I shared that information with you is when, you do go back to hotels and you do start booking, I remember after 9/11, is it 9/11 or the financial crisis, but Omni Hotels said, we're not putting any performance, no guest rooms. We just want you to come in. We're going to forecast based on history. So, just be mindful of what other hotels are doing. And I can share that with you in this forum of what's happening going into the future. Now I'm going to share my screen with you again and finish my PowerPoint. Okay. So we talked about Facebook quite a bit. So here's our last little challenge for all of you, is to the next 5 business days. Now, I wrote this pandemic, thank a site selection professional for an RFP, shortlist, site inspection, finalized contract. Michelle touched on this though. You know, if you have developed a relationship with site selection professionals, you know, the ones that you wanted to reach out to, or even the ones that you did reach out to for the homework that you've done, send them a snail mail. I actually have a whole bunch of cards out here that I just did a project, and I did one yesterday. I just sent cards off to all the Avery Murphy rock stars and the Avery Murphy team yesterday just to say thank you. Hadn't done that in a while. I pulled a card out to send a thank you card to somebody else, and I was like, I'm just going to do this. And then I have another, this is for another little project that I'm doing, but you know, sending out a card is inexpensive, takes a little bit of time, and I know I like when I get them in the mail. Post from an industry event, you can still do that with Zoom calls and education. And Jay, I want to thank you for in the very beginning posting about attending this course. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, Jay, for doing that. You know, you can put that post on Facebook as well. And then follow a third party and comment on their industry postings. So Christina is great. She does a lot of that, but there's a lot of other excellent people that I share space with. The folks that you saw that did the interviews, those would be great people to follow and post and even say, hey, I saw your interview on the Hospitality Sales Masterclass. You know, thanks for taking the time to do that and sharing that information with me. So I'm going to do this where you make a post or you do something, make a post in one of those categories for the next 5 days. Do business, oops, let me see. Oh, we got a chat. We post on the LinkedIn account. Yeah, you could do that, Tommy. Absolutely, you could do that. LinkedIn, I'll take LinkedIn too. But when you complete the 5-day challenge, post on the HSM Facebook group that you've completed it. And that's it, guys. Do you have any? Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Michelle, for taking the time to be with us and co-facilitate with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle. And I really appreciate it as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Does anybody have any final questions, thoughts that you want to share in closing?
Have my PowerPoint available that I can send to the group.
You know what?
However,
why don't you do? Can you do me a favor? You could post that on the HSM Facebook group. That would be great.
I think so. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. Be groovy. Make it a wonderful Wednesday. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in the Hospitality Sales Masterclass. Big hugs and kisses. And I say this with all sincerity because it's just how I am. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being part of a community that I cherish. I cherish each and every one of you, and thank you so much for participating. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
Hey guys.